Hi, welcome to FedScoopTV. I'm Colby Hockmuth. I'm sitting here with Larry Gillick, Deputy Director of Digital Strategy for the Interior Department. Thanks for joining us, Larry.
Thank you for having me.
So, Larry, what was your first government job, and what did you learn from that experience?
Unless you count my first 6 years in the Army as a federal job, which apparently people don't around here, I'm in my current job. This is my first job, although I'll tell you when I started it, it was with different authority, with different grade, and even a slightly different title. But I think what this has taught me is that if you have good leadership, then they'll help you grow into a position, and they'll help grow the position around your talents and skills. So if you have leadership abilities, they'll want that. They'll want to keep that in-house. If you have technical skills, they'll want to keep that in-house. And then you don't leave.
So is there anything that you did early in your career that you think influenced your success?
Sure. I've given a lot of thought to this, particularly for this interview. And I think I can boil it down to sort of 3 rules. And one is, know as much as you can. Study, take classes, do another degree, whatever you have to do to learn as much about your piece of the business as possible, the business of making the government work. And then be unselfish with that information. Give it away. Help whoever you can. Help your subordinates, your superiors, your colleagues, your friends, whoever it is that needs the help, and be that go-to person for information, because information hoarding turns out not actually very helpful to you or the organization. And if you can combine those 2 things and maybe add to it knowing your own value, I think that's the trick, that last bit, knowing that you have value to the organization. That strengthens you as far as self-confidence, but it also gives you the ability to leave if you find yourself in a place that is not going to be your home for a long period of time.
Right. And so what advice do you have to young employees in the government who might feel overwhelmed once they start?
Yeah, that is a hard thing. I thought about this one for a long time too, because what I'd like to do is talk to these people, because here's the thing, if I don't know who I'm talking to, and I already feel the urge to help them, I'm thinking there's someone in that organization that person works in who's probably also feeling that same thing I am, that hey, we've got a new person, maybe this person needs a leg up, needs some advice, needs a mentor. I can't be the only one thinking this. So A, look for that mentor, look for that person who will help you, coach you, help you figure out your path through the federal service. And the other part of it is, let's go back to know your value. You're there for a reason. People hired you because they saw value in you. Embrace that, don't go crazy with it, but do what you can, and remember the end goal is the American public, which is the first, the last, and the middle reason that we're all here with jobs anyway.
Right. So what's some of the best career advice you've ever gotten?
I shouldn't say plastics because that would just age me. And, but let's go with 2 things, both unfortunately media references. One is actually falling out of my brain right now as I think this. The best one though came from Douglas Adams, which is don't panic. Just don't panic. If you're going to be the go-to person, sure, you're expected to have a body of knowledge, hopefully a wealth of knowledge, who knows. But you also have to be the rock in the storm. You have to be that fixed point that people can go to when they know they need help. And if you can do that, if you can be the person who's not panicking when there's an oil rig on fire, when there's a war on, when there's whatever bad thing can happen in federal service, if you can be that person who's not panicking and you've got that body of knowledge and are sharing it, then you're that go-to person and your career will be fine.
And so what resources would you recommend someone accessing or reaching out to help enhance their success?
Right. First is whatever educational institution is nearby you, because I'm not kidding about that wanting to know everything. And if there's not a worthwhile educational institution near you, then turn to the web. Whether it's learning something from Khan Academy or pulling mentor interviews off websites, all of these things have value. Try to increase your own knowledge. And then there's Usajobs. Because here's the thing, in the end, you're in charge of your own career, and you have to find the right home for yourself. And if that means the agency you're in, that's fantastic. If it means a different bureau, a different office, or even a different agency, maybe you need a different culture. If there's one thing I've learned in my 4 years on the job here, it's that it seems to me that every agency has its own unique culture. DHS is nothing like the Department of the Interior, as far as I know, except that they're both government agencies. OPM, right next door to us physically, a world of difference culturally. And you should find a place where you're comfortable and where your skills and your knowledge and your techniques are also comfortable there, right? You have to be welcomed and you have to be welcoming simultaneously. And if Usajobs is your path, then fantastic. Just remember it's there and you have value.
So why would you recommend someone early in their career to work for government?
Okay, I don't want to give a blanket endorsement of that idea at all. I don't want to say everybody should come to government. But if a person has the sensibility, the value set that says that service to the American public is a great thing, and they have the ability to help share their knowledge, if they can be selfless in a crisis, if when something really bad is happening, their first instinct is to figure out how to help, then maybe federal service is absolutely what that person is looking for.
Right. So what are some of the things you're working on right now?
Well, all right. First, you may have heard we had this furlough.
Yeah.
It's over now, thank goodness. But one of the things I did during the furlough is I established a Google Plus community and a sister Facebook group to support feds during the shutdown. Not a lot of membership. I think feds tend to keep their heads down during a crisis, but a lot of lurkers, a lot of people were accessing our information, although not necessarily joining in the group. So that's the most recent thing I've done that's a big deal. I really enjoyed doing that, and it's nice to do something for the community that's given me so much, like a job and a way to live in this great city. But what I'm working on now at work, I'd say the two biggest things are, one, I do run our Google Plus presence for the Department of the Interior based on science and technology that we use at the department. We don't just make this stuff up as we go along. We have lots of scientists on duty who make hopefully knowledgeable decisions about what to do with our natural resources, the vast historical resources at our disposal. And that's been a great pleasure. That's sort of a labor of love for me at the Google Plus presence. But I'd say the biggest technology project we're doing is a huge ongoing move to provide cloud services and a single content management system that every bureau and every office at the Department of the Interior will be able to hook into and use. So imagine one master architecture that everyone can use, a single unifying platform, but at the same time returning tons of freedom to the bureaus so they can have their own look, feel, content, control over their own web space, but be able to call each other for help. If one coder at one bureau can't figure something out, and they can't reach out right now to a coder at another bureau at the Office of the Secretary because we're on different platforms. We'll all be on the same space, and I think that is something that if I can get that accomplished in relatively short order, that'll be the best thing I've done in 4 years.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Larry.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm Colby Hockmuth, and this is FedScoopTV.